Right, it's been a while, but now I have a newer version of Topaz, and I want my updated quality settings because this is a little bit different. And if you guys have this type of version, then this would help you a lot as well. To get started, you want to turn on Enhance AI, and from here, Progressive, leave it at Progressive. Protus Enhance, we keep that the same. And then for parameters, we want to change this to manual, so that way we have full control of everything. You want to change your fixed compression and improve detail to 90. You can go to 100 if the clip is a little bit more older. You can go to full 100. For sharpen, I would leave at 70 to like 85. Reduce noise 100 always. The halo at 25 and anti-alias deblur 15, and add noise 0 and recover detail at 15 or 20, I mean. And then for these settings, the export settings, want to keep this at video. You could go to I haven't messed around with too much of this between ProRes and 265. I just keep it at default 264. Leave this at high. It's the only thing that allows me to change it to. Change this to constant at 180, so you get the max bit rate, which basically just gives you a higher quality. As you can see on the left side right here, it's just higher quality. So if you go say like 8, it's gonna be a little bit lower quality than you would like. So just put it at max, or you could even go 60 to 120 or 60 to 40. But I just go at max just to get the max quality possible. And for audio, you can put at copy or convert. If you're gonna keep it at convert, just keep everything the same at max. And then MP4, you can preview it, which I will show you how it looks before and after. But yeah, and you can save this as a preset as well. Just go all the way to the top and go here, just create a new preset, and it will just change this, and you can change the name. So right here I have mine at 2. First one I messed up, and then the second one I made it real fast. This is how I normally do my upscaling, especially if I'm double upscaling. So this will be 1080. So first I'll do 1080, and then once I go into After Effects. Quick side note here, if you're using an older version of Topaz, right here I have 2.6.4. Just copy these settings on screen, or you can move the things around. The constant rate factor I would keep below 5, because anything under 17, I think it is, the quality is a lot higher. So keep that at 3 to 5 or so. That's the only thing I would change. You can put it down even more if you wanted to like 1 or 2, but 3 I think is the best. So just copy these settings on screen, and it's the same thing as the newer version in a way. Now that we brought the clip into After Effects, I'm going to show you how to make your own color correction. So first, want to add look to your adjustment layer, and then we'll do all the effects first, and then we'll go into looks afterwards. So we'll do unsharp, and we'll put this at 45, and we'll put the range to 20, and it basically just makes the edges pop out a lot more. So as you can see, this before and after, it stands out a lot more. So we do that. I do not add sharpen to my clips because I just don't like the way sharpen looks, so I don't use it. Especially if Topaz is gonna do the sharpening for me, there's no point to have the double in there. And then saturation. So saturation, and this can be realistically any amount you want, but I would say 20 is perfectly fine, because you don't want it to be too bright, especially if you're doing magic bullet looks. We're gonna add detail preserving upscale, and we're just gonna turn everything up. We'll go to detail preserving. It takes away a little bit of that noise. It's not insane, you know, but it does help a little bit, especially if you're going into flow frames. It's going to remove a little bit of that noise. So then from here, this is a majority of the time what I use in my videos or my edits. I don't really use a lot of effects. It may seem surprising. All of these things are free, by the way, I'm pretty sure. They're like all built-in stuff with After Effects. This saturation and unsharp max, they're all free within After Effects. Looks, you do have to go get yourself. That's the only thing that is like hard to get. So now into looks, but most of the time I'll just add this, and is this one. Also, like, I use that all the time. Then you want to find yourself HSL colors. If you don't see it on the panel to your left, versions of Magic Bullet Looks won't have it, so you can find it over here. If you just hover over them, it shows you the presets on the bottom, what they have, and you can just click on it and delete all the effects that you don't need and just leave it at HSL. And then for this, I change these to 0, and all these will be at 25. Then if you want, this is just an option you can do, is get colorista in it as well. And you can just, you don't have to mess around with this too much. You can up the contrast a little bit. I would say that's probably the only thing you should do, is up the contrast. You can change the saturation on here as well if you really need to. But yeah, then you can really mess around with all these things to show that you can just mess around with these and get a result that you like. So you can just play around with this, get something you like, and then you can just hit that check and then boom. So if you think it's too bright, sometimes you can just lower down the percentage here to like 70%. It'll give you a little bit less of what you want, or even 50%. So yeah, this is the before and this is the after. Yeah, quite a big difference, especially if you're going to go upscale it. So then you just want to export this. So for render settings on After Effects, I use Media Encoder. So I'll just put this on lossless, the output module on lossless. And then you just want to change your output to save it to a folder that you're going to remember. And then just hit render. And if you don't want to, do all the settings or the color correction over and over every single time, you can just click on the top, shift, and then select the bottom, go to animation, and then save as an animation preset. Then it'll come here and you can title it whatever you want. Now that we're done with this part, making the color correction and showing you the render settings. So after we've rendered the clip that we just finished, adding the color correction, this one. So once we're in here, you can just click on the preset you made earlier. If you see frame interpolation is turned on, you want to come over to frame rate and change it to whatever the original or whatever you exported out of After Effects is. So then you can change that to 4K, leave this at original, and then turn this off because you do not want to frame interpolate. And then from here, you just export it and then you can see the final result. Again, if you are using flow frames, I recommend double upscale. If you're not using flow frames to do your Twixters, upscale it in 4K once and use sharpness at 85. Again, if you're only single upscaling, just 85 sharpness. If you're double upscaling, 70 or 60 to 70 both times. So here you can see the left side is the original 1080, and then this is the 4K on the right. So if we zoom in, you can see the differences in sharpness, and this is why we use the sharpness in Topaz rather than in After Effects, because it just does a lot better job. So yeah, and then once you would export it out of here, you want to then go to Media Encoder, drop in the clip you just exported out of upscaling or even rendering from After Effects. And here it'll say 3840 by 2160, but since this is not the double upscaled version, it's going to be 1920 by 1080. So here you want to check on render at maximum depth. Hardware encoding, because if you go off software, it's going to be a lot slower. You're going to be here for probably 10-15 minutes. And if you use hardware encoding, it's using your graphics card. So if you have a beefy graphics card, you're going to finish within seconds. So you want to leave this at hardware always. Change this to high, change this to 5.1. These leave the same. Want to come all the way down, you want to change this to constant bitrate, which just means the bitrate throughout the whole video will be the same. If you do pass one, it's just going to pass once. You would think constant and pass one are the same thing, but they're not. And two, it basically, say you change this to 20 and you change this to 50, it'll tell the machine that some parts of the video that you would think doesn't need as much bitrate, put it to the lowest, and some parts that it thinks that it needs to be higher will be at 50. So it won't be constant throughout. It'll be some parts of your edit will be lower and some parts will be a little bit higher. And so with constant, it's all the same. So you can change it depending on how big you want the file size to be. Will be 25 or 30. These I found to have not decreased my video quality at all. Sometimes I'll do 25. So 25 to 30 or even 20 to 30 will be the best for exporting, and use maximum render quality. So then once you have that, click OK. So the reason why we throw it into Media Encoder is because the original file size of the video we exported is 439 megabytes. And if you're doing an edit, if you're doing a full edit that's around 15 to 30 seconds, it'll be about 1 gigabyte or 2 gigabytes of file storage. So I'll show you an example of what I mean. So this is one of the edits I made back then, and this one exporting out of After Effects is, as you can see on the bottom, 2.71 gigabytes, which is a lot. And then once you throw it into upscaling again, it's 787. It does decrease a little bit. 700 is still a lot. So basically what Media Encoder does is drop the file size a lot. So 88 megabytes compared to 2 gigabytes. And you're asking, why do I need to downscale it? Or like, why do I need to bring down the file size? Is because if you're transferring it over to your phone, it's going to be a lot shorter. Uploading to TikTok is going to take a minute or so. And if you're doing a gigabyte, it's going to take at least, depending how fast your Wi-Fi speed is, it just depends. But even upscaling to TikTok, or not upscaling, even uploading to TikTok will be a while. So you want to drop down the file size as much as possible to make it easier for you to upload it to Instagram, TikTok, and even send it over to your phone. A lot of people think that throwing into Media Encoder would decrease your quality. I don't know why. All it does is just drop your file size. That's legit the only thing Media Encoder does. If you do the wrong settings in After Effects and in Media Encoder, then it'll drop your quality. It took me about a year to figure out all these settings, just because all the tutorials I found didn't really work for me. I don't know why, but they just didn't. So I had to do everything and figure out how to upload and all that stuff. So these are the settings I found to be the best. Media Encoder does not decrease your quality, or don't let people tell you that it decreases quality. It makes it worse. It doesn't. All it does is just drop the file size to a smaller size, so that way you can upload it to YouTube, TikTok, whatever you want. That's all Media Encoder does. So then after that, you would just send it over to your phone, transfer it, upload it, and blah, 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 blah. You're done. That's basically it.